Unfortunately, a lot of animals are going to die and they're going to drag it out as long as possible, but it's over.
Welcome to the Hen Report. This is Jasmin Singer.
This is Mariann Sullivan.
And the Our Hen House podcasts are trickling into your life just like the sunshine. Rising Anxiety comes out on Tuesdays. The Hen Report, which is this, comes out on Thursdays, and the long form interview on Fridays. Bonus for Flock members comes out on Mondays. Don't forget, we are on YouTube. We're also on any podcatcher. So subscribe, hit like, comment wherever you listen. So we got a message from someone we know, and she had gotten a DM from a colleague. And it said the following: I know you're a vegan. And by the way, "yer" is Y-E-R. I feel like that's important for some reason.
I knew that would annoy you.
It's so
but
annoying.
Let's move on, because that's not what we're talking about.
But I got farm eggs this weekend, speaking of annoying. And what I mean by that are like properly free-range ones that no one eats the chickens except for the hawks. They live happy lives until sniped from above. You want some eggs? And then friend replies, "No, thank you." And then the person replies again, "Okay, some vegans can be converted by happy non-edible chickens, which are very happy, wink." And
seriously, I mean, we run into a lot of this crap, but this is one of the weirdest ones I've ever seen. It's really bizarre. They think that are they trying to convert vegans? Like, why do they care? We are told that this is a person who kind of clearly it's on her mind. So I shouldn't be too cold, but it's just so bizarre. Also, I would say being attacked by a hawk isn't the best way to go, but that's a minor detail here.
Well, it's
there's so much
here. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, as soon as this person wrote "yer," I would have just unfriended them. But I digress. That is not the point. The word "happy" is 3 times in this tiny little discussion.
A lot of happy.
3 times. And yeah, what would you do if you got a message like that?
I think I would do exactly what this person did and just say no, thank you. And then this person is clearly having a conversation with themselves and putting us in the place of the opposition, and we don't have to take that role. I have to? Does one have to explain that chickens' lives actually matter? That there's no such do you have to go through the whole thing? I don't think so at this point.
Back in the day when we used to do these vegan workshops, we would say that you have every right to just say, "This kind of eating really works for me." You don't have to get into it. Yeah. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. Yeah. A lot of our energy is, kind of sucked out of our souls these days. Also, so preserve what you have.
I'm not even sure what's good activism here. Is explaining why this is incorrect in a lot of ways, that, and going into the question of where do they get the chicks from, and all of those questions. Is that what this person needs, or does this person just really have to sit with the fact that some people are perfectly happy being vegan and don't want your stupid eggs? Ew.
You know what, though? Crazy. I think that the answer to whether it's good activism really depends on, the moment and the person who's on the other end of it. I just know this made our friend crazy because she's super activist minded and probably recognized that this isn't the right time. And that can be really hard when you recognize that it's not the right time to engage. But
we never know what's the right time anyway. So just do whatever feels right. I mean, other than not speaking up when it's possible to do so, but the way you speak up and the way you make it clear, is totally up to you and can vary according not just to how you think the other person's going to respond, but to, your mood and everything. Being a vegan activist all the time is hard. I mean, and we should be it all the time, but that doesn't mean we have to always do it the same way.
But do you think it's possible?
It's so hilarious. Some vegans can be converted, like we're doing. I don't know. What does that mean? Why would she want to convert vegans?
Yeah.
I guess to make herself feel better?
So I don't know. It's so dumb. But
non-edible chickens. I guess the hawks found them edible. I mean, also keeping chicken, that in and of itself, though it's not something I would go into, I guess. But when you keep chickens out in a pen, yeah, hawks are going to get them. They're supposed to be up in trees where the hawks can't get them. Like, they've thought this through.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that
All
this
right, let's move
person?
on.
Do you think that this person notices that the writing is on the wall? Because I think that there are some big industries that are certainly
Well, this is the
noticing
thing
that.
this is the thing I've been thinking about. And, you know, there's a lot of people talking about how the fossil fuel industry, I mean, not a lot of people, a few people. What's really going on here on their push to get every damn drop of oil out of the United States in the past 10 years with all the fracking and everything, and just oil, oil, oil. And the whole Trump administration, like, saying all alternative energy is terrible, like, for no conceivable reason. It's that the oil industry, obviously, the oil industry knows that its time is limited and it wants to, you know, sell its oil while it's still sellable, and make as much money as possible so that they can then live on a burning planet. Like, I don't know, but they'll have a lot of money to do it with. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like maybe the meat industry, not everybody in the meat industry by any means, but the meat industry is kind of in the same position, only people are much less savvy that it's, you know, it's over. I mean, especially beef. Like, it's over. Like, except for the counting. And unfortunately, why did I say counting? But unfortunately, a lot of animals are going to die and they're going to drag it out as long as possible, but it's over. I really think that. Everything they're doing is just trying to keep it going as long as possible.
My stomach just growled so loudly that I think it's possible my mic picked it up. I just wanted to say that. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. I agree, and I think that that is an interesting perspective to go through the rest of the Hen Report with today, because as I'm glancing at the articles that we wanted to chat about, I think if you think about them in terms of it's, you know, it's over, they know that, it can feel really good. Like, it can feel.
Yeah, well, it's a good feeling anyway.
It
Yeah.
is, it is.
Well, sort of, though it's so frustrating when it should actually be over.
Yeah.
And they're going to drag it out as long as they possibly can. And people are stupidly going to participate, thinking that, oh, there's the plant-based people and the meat people, and it's all the same difference, and without any recognition that one is a dying industry in every possible way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let's grab onto the joy where we can, because, you know, it's been so taxing to just be involved in anything that is fighting for the greater good of anyone. And one place where I'm finding a lot of joy, in addition to recognizing that the industry is kind of seeing the writing on the wall, is this app you told me about, Merlin.
Oh yeah, I love Merlin. It's from
Yeah.
Cornell and it's
Yeah.
free. Cornell has a huge ornithological school,
Yeah,
or department or whatever.
I mentioned it to a group of people, and, like, a lot of them already knew about it, so I might be late to the party here, but it basically allows you to record wherever you are, and it will identify the birds that are
That
in
it
your
can
area,
hear.
that it can hear. You could also do it by visual, I think, but I've only done it by
Yeah, except who can
audio.
see them?
Right.
Like, it would be really hard to find them. They're very good at, like, hanging out in the trees. But
Yeah.
you just turn this app on and it tells you 10 different birds that are in your yard at the moment. You didn't know any of them were there. I love it.
I
And then you're
know.
supposed to actually confirm by seeing them. And,
Yeah.
you know, you can't count them on your list, which I don't know why, because your list is just your own business, I think. But you're not supposed to count them on your list because, you know, bird watchers, they're really into their lists. I just like to know who's there. They do sometimes, you know, they've identified a couple of things for me, and then you go to it and they're like, this is unlikely. Like, they know that, you know, they know when they probably got it wrong.
Wait, can I tell you something that just occurred to me that's funny? Wouldn't it be funny if the birds are up in their trees or wherever they hang out, and they have their little phones and they have their own app that's identifying us, and they're like, racist asshole, or like, like, eats birds, run, you know, or like, you know, rescues cats, run. Anyway.
I wonder if it would identify a chicken, since like so many bird people, it never occurs to them that chickens are birds.
It would be so cool to do this at a sanctuary. I know that we have some listeners who run sanctuaries. If you do, get the Merlin app and do it.
It's free.
Yeah, and let us know. I'm really curious. Okay, so this next story, was as reported by Veg Economist, is something that I think would make a lot of vegans happy, which is that no palm ingredients are shortlisted for the world's largest environmental prize. And what no palm ingredients is a Dutch fermentation company. And so it's trying to basically have a stand-in for palm oil. Keep talking. I have to open the door because Murray is whining and crying and needs to come in.
Well, I'm not sure I have that much more to say. I just think this is going to make a lot of people really happy if they can make it happen. It grows oleaginous, that's such a fun word, yeast in industrial fermentation tanks. And they use garbage. I mean, basically food industry side streams like potato peels that produce the fats. And then they turn somehow, in the magic of modern science, they turn those fats into something that is, it's not palm oil, but it has the same functionality as palm oil. Like, this would be miraculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everybody listening knows how bad palm oil is, and how it's farming palm oil has just devastated so many rainforests and orangutan habitat, and it's just a terrible, terrible product. So that I thought that would be a cheery article.
It is. I love it when there's alternatives.
The other article I have, though, is not very cheery.
All right, let's do it.
We've all been excited about Ridglan, and justifiably so. And all knew that, people got arrested and it wasn't going to just end there. And now charges have been brought by against 4 defendants who got into Ridglan. And one of them is Wayne Hsiung. Then there's Dean Wojciechowski, Michelle Linsky, and Aditya Aswani, and they've all been charged. With at first they were charged with just one count, and then when they showed up for arraignment, they added a bunch of different counts, which is how it always happens. So that's not that unusual. And they all pleaded not guilty, of course. And the arrests and the trials are part of the open rescue theory of change. But it can't help but be upsetting when you hear it happening. And this is from the first Ridglan break-in. I should mention that. We haven't yet seen the charges laid related to the second break-in. And according to this article, they each face up to 31 years in prison if convicted on all counts. I don't know whether that's true, because it sounds like some of these counts would have to run concurrently, which means that the sentences kind of they can't run one after each other. But I don't know that that's the case. That's just it looks like. In any case, that's insane. I mean, the likelihood of that is very small. One of the things they try to do is really load on the counts. I mean, in any kind of criminal case, load on the counts, so make it more likely they'll get a guilty plea because it's so scary, but justifiably scary. And so yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that really
it sucks, but it was anticipated. So
all right, well, I get. Do you feel like, yeah, go ahead.
Wayne's conviction in the Sonoma case, which is a long time ago, but it finally went up on appeal. Didn't totally get reversed on appeal, but a lot of it did, and we'll be talking to the lawyers on that. And Wayne himself, I think, in next month's, June's Animal Law podcast.
All right, well, we'll stay tuned for that. The next bit of news we wanted to go over here, how would you categorize it? Good news, not good news?
No, I don't think it's good news. I mean, but yeah, some people think it's good news. I mean, and this is really an update because we had Susie Stork on from Coalition to Abolish the Fur Trade not too long ago, and she talked about their campaign against Milan Fashion Week in Italy, of course, Milan, Italy.
You said Milan Fashion. I love that.
I said Fashion.
You say Milan Fashion Week.
No, I'm trying to be sophisticated.
It worked.
All right. There have been some animal groups who have come out congratulatory to what Milan Fashion Week has done. But CAFT is not congratulatory. They say it falls short. And what they've done, Milan Fashion Week is one of the major fashion shows left that still allow fur on the runways. And they've released guidelines asking brands not to show fur. But it is not required. And, I think CAFT is right that it's not enough. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And it should be stated like that. But this is definitely, sometimes a compromise. You have to accept that it's still progress. It's not all the progress you wanted, but it's still progress. It was still great to see. There are a few additional recommendations that they ignored, including excluding vintage and upcycled fur and fur sourced by indigenous communities and whatever. So I love CAFT. They're unbelievable. And the Fashion Week has lost 3 major sponsors: Wella, DHL, and Visa. That has got to be a lot of money. So they're amazing, just amazing. So that is actually progress, but not all the progress that they wanted. So good for them for saying, no, not enough.
You know who would be pulling out as a sponsor if she had been a sponsor originally?
No.
Cher.
Oh, right. You're reading Cher's biography.
Yeah, so I'm reading Cher's memoir, part 1.
Memoir.
Yeah. And she was talking a lot about fashion, which has been a big part of her brand and her life and her career. And she was talking about fur, and then I was like, oh, gross, And then she said, of course, now I'd rather die than wear fur, but at the time I didn't know better. And I was like, yeah, Cher. And then she just reiterated it again. So I don't know. It's just a little aside that Cher is such a huge, giant force of nature, so unbelievably famous in like icon status that it's just nice to see someone like that standing against it.
Yeah. It's great. It's great, especially somebody of the older faction.
It's a really fun listen, by the way. Although the weird thing is she's only half narrating it. The woman who played her on Broadway in the story of her, Stephanie Block, is also narrating it. I find that a little jarring, admittedly. But that aside, this is not the Cher podcast. This is our hen house, not our Cher house.
Should we totally change our beat?
I mean,
from now on, it's all Cher all the time.
Well, let's think about that. But for now, let's discuss foie gras.
Foie gras.
Yet again.
Foie gras. Yeah, the reason I wanted to talk about these articles have been hanging around on our list for a couple of weeks, and they are important to talk about. But also, you've been really kind of like just expressing on an emotional level, like, geez, foie gras, can't we ever win anything? And this has two. One is, as we know, New York City instituted a foie gras ban. It was appealed, or a court case was brought. The city won. They're allowed to block foie gras. And now the governor is appealing because it was a state agency that had originally said, no, New York City can't ban the sale of foie gras. And so the Governor Hochul, like, what the fuck, Governor Hochul? Like, this is ridiculous, is appealing to the Court of Appeals. I mean, the Court of Appeals doesn't have to take it, so we don't even know whether they're taking it again. So they have to keep arguing this, whether New York City is allowed to pass its own rules. It's ridiculous. And the other thing is there's a ballot initiative going on in Colorado, which you're probably aware of, by Pro Animal Colorado, and about to ban foie gras. And a few weeks ago, Pro Animal Future put out a press release revealing that they had done an undercover investigation at Hudson Valley Foie Gras, a place you are terribly familiar with, and I use the word terrible advisedly. showing ducks being force-fed with metal tubes and how, the disgusting, filthy conditions. And in order to support that ballot initiative and also just to reveal to people how bad foie gras really is, because it's disgusting. But I guess the question always is, why we focus so much energy on foie gras when it's bad, but so is everything else, and nobody eats it in the United States, except for like
Yeah.
some people who moved here from France.
I know, even among everyone always says, "Oh, it's among the elite, it's among the elite." I don't think that's really
I
the
mean, I
case.
guess some people do, but it's not
Well,
like
some people do, yeah,
if
but it's not that common, and I understand that makes it low-hanging fruit. I understand or low-hanging diseased fatty liver. I understand that makes it something that maybe is winnable in a world where very little is, and so we focus on the low-hanging fruit, but I don't know. When you said that my gripe with it is emotional, like, it does sort of just feel like, "Seriously? Again?"
we're doing this again,
I mean, it
and we
doesn't
haven't won this yet,
and if
like
like,
really?
I just don't I'm not saying give up, I'm just saying, like, maybe
Yeah.
do something else, and when it's just kind of hearkening
Of
back.
course, you've been doing this longer than a lot of people. They haven't done it before.
Yeah, so does that I mean, what does that what does that mean in terms of
I mean,
strategy,
I think
though?
that when you've been in the movement for a long time, sometimes you get jaded about certain campaigns
Oh,
that people
yeah.
coming in can see more value in. And I do think the Pro Animal Future is like they really think about strategy. This is not a casual decision. And I assume that, they're doing a ballot initiative. The last ballot initiative they did was about slaughterhouses, and they lost that, but they got 25% of the vote, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. And and I'm sure that they have a long-term strategy here. It's just that I with you are like, I hear about it and I'm like, oh my God, foie gras.
Yeah,
Nobody even knows what it is. Nobody can pronounce it.
I know. I I'm not being critical of anyone's
Yeah, I get it. That's how I'm
efforts.
trying to
I just
be.
yeah, I
Yeah.
do wanna be very clear that my point is do something, and if that's what you're doing, then that's amazing, like, thank you for doing that work, and I guess I just there's so many loopholes policy-wise constantly, like, endlessly, and to your point, hearkening back to your point from, like, the beginning of this discussion about how the industry is seeing the writing on the wall, then maybe it's time to, like, go big, like, and what do I mean by that, of course, is, but I mean, I
Well,
think
I
that
think that maybe what you mean is yes on IP28 in Oregon, which is the exact opposite ballot initiative.
tell us about it.
Yeah, and I mean, to be clear, I mean, as always, I try to be open-minded, and I am seriously not I love that all of these different things are going on at the same time, and I do think Pro Animal Future sees a foie gras ban as a foot in the door,
Mhm.
and, they're not just thinking of it in a limited sense, as something you can just win. But IP28, we had Ivan Michelson to talk about this on several years ago, and it is a ballot initiative that has been proposed several times in Oregon, but they've never before gotten the signatures. And this year, it looks like they either have them. There were a few articles, and they were saying different things. They either have the signatures, which is something. It's around 120,000, or they're very close to getting them. On just because they have the signatures does not mean it's going on the ballot. Then it has to go to the Secretary of State. So God knows what'll happen there. But it's an unbelievable ballot initiative. It basically it eliminates all exemptions to the cruelty law in Oregon, which means that it would be against the law to kill animals, and it would be against the law to hunt animals and fish and slaughter and pretty much it would make Oregon what they called or they were calling a while ago, a sanctuary state. I don't know whether they're still using that language. I highly recommend going and looking this up because it's like what?
That's what I yeah, that is exactly what I mean. That and I'm so happy that that is here to discuss today because I when I said go big, and again, I'm just talking about on an emotional level, like I was thinking about open rescue, which obviously people have been doing forever. But I was thinking about like uh, the incredible press that Ridglan has gotten. Obviously, that's dogs. And there's obviously a big difference in people's minds between dogs and farmed animals. But if we're tying things up in policy, then why not tie up like these bigger asks, these like
Well,
broader
they are.
definitions of liberation?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And
Don't you like that there's all these different things going on at the same time?
I love that.
Because since none of us actually have any idea what'll work. And to some extent, we're not even sure this will make it onto the ballot. I mean, fingers crossed. But it still opens up. The further it gets, the more it opens up conversations. And I was Googling it to find the website before we talked about it, and there's a lot of conversation already, mostly from the hunting community. It seems like the animal ag is just trying to sort of stay out of it, which is really interesting. I love it. I love it.
I do too. I
remember, I don't remember the interview intimately because it was a while ago, but I do remember David saying, and I think this is really true, at last activists have something to work on that they really believe in. Working on minor welfare reforms is so hard for so many animal advocates.
And
even if they believe it's the right thing to do, it just, it steals your soul.
I didn't know you were going to say that. And I was sitting here thinking about how a really important part of activism is to be true to who you are as an activist. And so if, anti-foie gras campaigns are not your thing, then do something else. But if they are, then do that, and I love what you just said in light of that, just to think that there's, something legislation related, I should say, that people can really get behind in a way that is genuine to who they are. I really do love that.
And there's also the interesting aspect that people actually, when surveyed, majority of people think we should ban slaughterhouses. It's so bizarre. People are just bizarre. So maybe they'll vote for it.
It makes me think of Gretchen's T-shirt. Gretchen was on last week, and she had her T-shirt on, "Shut down all slaughterhouses."
Yeah.
And it's like,
I bet everybody agrees with you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
As they chomp on their hamburger. People are bizarre.
I mean, totally. All right. Are we mentioning this protest? That's this weekend, right? This 3-day vigil. There's a 3-day vigil.
Didn't we already mention it?
No, I don't think we mentioned. Well, we did last week, but I'll just mention it again really quickly because it's this weekend. So if you're listening to this immediately when it comes out, as I'm sure you are, there is a Marshall Bioresources Peaceful Vigil, May 28th to the 30th, in North Rose, New York, which is very close to Rochester. And this is to another beagle facility where there's, I think, 20,000, more than 20,000 beagles being... No,
20,000 animals.
Oh, okay. Thank you. 20,000 animals.
They're not all beagles.
We will link to that in the show notes, as well as the other articles we've discussed today, per usual. And just to remind you, Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays, the Hen Report on Thursdays, the long-form interview on Fridays, and bonus for Flock members comes out on Mondays. And thank you if you are a Flock member. We will talk to you next time.